sitting up having a lot of thoughts on a whole lot of things. So I don't even know if this is going to be a video. I'm just going to just sit, go through some thoughts. You know, I've noticed that in 2014, February the 10th, I had a motorcycle accident. And I really never really talked about it. It's just that what happened to me was I know that it changed me, you know, because when you leave this organism and you end up in a place where it feels very familiar to you. And yet, in that particular place, you don't have a memory or anything, you know, and yet still you are pretty much aware of everything. And what is meant by that is this is beyond the knowledge of things which the organism records in terms of education. But when I passed out on my motorcycle from exhaustion, and I sustained a real bad head injury. I sustained an orbital fracture. This hand was turned all the way around. This is the reason why this hand was a bit twisted. I broke my upper ninth right rib, and I broke my left shoulder. And I had died for like 5 minutes, 5 to 8 minutes. I hit a guy. His RV, his name was Vince. According to him, my body didn't show any signs of life for like 20 minutes. And he said that when he looked down at me, looks like this whole side of my face was bashed in. I was losing so much blood. He thought, he knew that I was gone, you know, because he didn't get a pulse or anything like that. But what happened, you know, a lot of people ask me, what did I see? And see, by us being in this organism, when people ask me, what did I see? They mean it in the sense of what did I see with my 2 eyes, but it's not like that. When your spirit leaves this organism, it goes back to that part in the universe of where the Creator had your entity present until it's your time to get spoken into the womb of your mother so that you can outlive your earthly life inside of your organism, which we know as the flesh. But when I was back part of being universe, a part of the universe, there was no memory, there was no knowledge in terms of my name being David, my having sons, or anything like that. But I was able, there was no feelings neither. But I was a part of everything that bear life and power. I was in a state of clarity. I was very much alive, and I was alive more so than I even feel right now, being back a part of this organism. There was no knowledge, there was no memory. I was in a state of clarity, and I was a complete living entity of where I only just knew, not in terms of knowledge, but I was very much alive and present. And there was a very familiar feeling. And so when my organism started coming back, I felt myself being pulled back into the organism. And what I noticed is that I was telling the Creator, no, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. And so as my organism started generating again, that's when the memory started coming back. The knowledge that I have 2 sons and my name is David and all of those things. But what I noticed is when the knowledge came back to me that I had 2 sons, what I felt was love and fear. It was love and fear, because I love my sons very much, and I have a strong fear of losing them. So, you know, I tell a lot of people, you really don't know what love and fear is until you have children. And that's a very true statement. You know, after that, I wasn't the same no more, because a lot of things was revealed to me. And what was revealed to me of death is that it's nothing to fear. You know, when you leave this organism, all the fear that you accumulated in this flesh, the knowledge, all of those things are left behind in the flesh, because all of these things were recorded by way of the organism and the brain and the mind and all of those things. But I was very much at peace, and it was a state of being that was beyond peace, because we really don't know what peace is in fact until we are outside of this organism. But as I moved forward from 2014, after going through that, my life has been a lot of twists and turns with people in general, relationships, and everything. It's just a non-stop journey of, it just seems like it's just a non-stop journey of infliction and pain and suffering. And it's like you're not given any time to heal from one experience before another one comes. Another one that's very intense comes, and it hits you that, you know, it gets to the point to where all you want to do is go into isolation. And when I gave up everything and I went to Georgia with plans to get married and settle my life down, and once that blew up in my face, I suffered out there in Georgia a lot, by way of the very foul people that I had no choice but to come in contact with. So when I got back to Las Vegas, where I am now, it didn't stop. You know, things are constantly happening, one after the other, one after the other. And it gets to the point to where I'm feeling at this very moment to where I just want to just leave, you know, I just want to leave. And I think about my age. I'm almost 60 years old. I'll be 60 in January on the 20th. And a man of my age living inside of this system, where actually can you go and call yourself starting over at the age of 60? I mean, to most people, including myself, that sounds ridiculous, if not downright unrealistic. Because the way that this country is right now, in terms of its economic system and everything, if you do have something going for yourself, it's best that you stay put. I have a good paying job, and even that is starting to become a lot more complicated because of the people that I'm working up under, who look like you and me. And I will boldly tell anyone, if you join any institution or observe any institution and you see that it's predominantly Black, just keep going. Because what I've noticed in terms of the crabs in a barrel thing, it just seems like 80% of Black people carry that instinct with them. And it's just exhausting. You know, it's like I've been going through things for so many years. You know, it's like since my great grandmother passed away in 1982, it's been a constant battle of trying to maintain your sanity. And the only thing that has kept me going is the fact that the Creator has gifted me with wisdom and intelligence, and with a phenomenal gift of being able to endure a whole lot of things. I remember telling my brother Josh one time, sometime I just wish that I could reach my breaking point so I could just break. I remember telling this young lady that I used to take walks with, Kimberly Cabral. I remember her, me telling her that same thing. Sometimes I just want to break, you know. But she was telling me that God has made you too strong to break. She said, you're not supposed to break. You don't have a breaking point. She said, you have to bear it. And some of us are on the planet to carry the burdens of a whole lot of people in terms of other people being hurt, and they're coming at you trying to hurt you. And tonight I'm just kind of out of it, you know. And ever since all of that stuff happened with you know, that's stuff in Georgia, that whole Georgia experience changed me. And I'm at a state right now to where I really don't want to talk to anyone. And the only time that I communicate with anyone is when I have to go to work. Outside of my job, the only person that I talk to is my son. And after staying with the guy who I knew all of my life, as the video said, I didn't even take up any room in their home. I was in the back seat of my car, sleeping in their garage. And he allowed his wife to manipulate the whole situation. And so he told me that I had to leave a month ahead. And so that threw everything off. And as my other video said, I ended up living in my car for almost 2 months. That changed my body. You know, it caused me to gain a whole lot of weight. And I'm slowly right now getting all that weight off of me. It's just that there's always something going on, you know, and it makes you just want to just say, fuck it, you know. There's always something going on. And then when you speak out and you stand up for yourself, you're even wrong for doing that. You know, it's a never-ending cycle of chaos. It's a never-ending cycle of complete chaos. It's exhausting. You know, I'm trying to get back to writing. I'm trying to put books together, to get them together, but it's getting to the point to where it's even difficult for me to find the drive to really put forth a productive effort to even do that, because I've become so exhausted with going through so many things with people, to where I've recently gone into a state of isolation ever since I moved into this apartment. So I'm in a isolation period right now. I mean, there's people that send me their numbers from Georgia and other areas. There's a woman that I used to talk to all the time named Debbie Jacobs. You know, she sent me her number a while back, and I can't dial the phone. You know, I'm concerned about it, but every time I think of contacting her, I feel this real weight on me. And it's almost like, I don't know, maybe it's another form of exhaustion, but something inside of me has been cut completely off. And I've noticed that in some instances at work. But when it comes to people, what I've noticed, when it comes to people who I've grown close to, for some reason, something inside of me has shut off. And I've gotten to the point to where I just don't like people no more. Because when you allow I look at people as fire. And if you get too close to people, you're gonna get burned. And so I've gotten to the point to where I don't try to work out things with people anymore. You betray me, you rub me the wrong way, cut you off, and I'm never going to speak to you again. Because I feel as though I have to protect myself, because I'm in the process of trying to heal from everything that I've been through for the past almost 40 years. And especially everything that I've been through since 2014 when I had my accident, all the way through how much I suffered in Georgia, all the way up to the present moment, dealing with a whole lot of bullshit at this job as a security guard. When you have Black people trying to cause you to lose your livelihood, that's the whole crabs in a barrel thing. And it's just like, wow. Right when I put myself in the position to where I can actually put my books out, because I'm getting ready to make $25 an hour as a armed security guard. Now here comes some people who look just like you, trying to sabotage your efforts to prevent you from moving ahead in life and coming up in life. You know, this is the reason why people can't talk that black shit to me. I tell people, since I suffered in Georgia, I threw my black card away. I don't want anything to do with the black community and this current culture, because the way that our people are right now, they ain't worth a damn. They ain't worth a damn. And if you want to get ahead in life, it's best that you isolate yourself from the community and focus strictly on yourself and what you want to do with your life. Isolate yourself and move ahead and fulfill your destiny and utilize your gift and bring peace and harmony to your life so that you can get out of the system and be able to accumulate some wealth to the degree you don't have to work anymore. And if you want to jump on a plane and go to India to visit some of your friends, you'll be able to do that. If you want to go to London, England, and visit your friends out there, you can do that. You can go to Islamabad. You can go to Rama, Pakistan. You can go to all of these places where you know very good people anytime you want. That's one of the reasons why I work so hard with my writing, because I want to be able to get on a plane at will and just go anywhere I want. If I want to go over to London, England for 3 months, I'll just get my ass on a plane and I'm gone. As long as my sons know where I am. That's all that matters. But every time you turn around, you have people in your life trying to keep you limited. Always trying to keep you limited. And then you're looking at your age. You're almost 60 years old. And here you are. You've barely accomplished what you set out to do, because there's always other so-called human beings sabotaging your efforts. You get involved with these crazy black women. That blows up in your face numerous times. And you're the criminal, because you won't tolerate any disrespect. And so you're wrong. You give up everything and you go to Georgia and you figure you had something special because this woman was Ethiopian and she had an intelligent mind, only to go all the way from Las Vegas to Georgia to find out that you didn't have nothing but a scam artist and a local prostitute. That's all she was. That's all she was. She was just a hooker. That's all she was. You come in contact with family members out there, they don't give a damn about you, but they don't mind coming to so-called help you when the only thing they want to do is see what condition that you're in, but they're not willing to help you get out of it. So when it all boils down to it, you come to realize after you even get back here to Las Vegas, every single person who you come in contact with screws you over. So it gets to the point to where you come to realize you are in this life alone. You're in the life journey alone. And when you die, you're going to be alone. You're born alone and you live alone and you die alone. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at right now. And I'm to the point to where I just want to be left alone. Just want to be left alone. All I want to do is write beautiful, inspirational stories and I want to write some series and everything, but it's gotten to the point to where I've become so exhausted from going through so much. I know that this period of isolation is the only thing that's going to give me enough time to heal and to put myself in the position to where I actually can move forward. But every time you turn around, you're dealing with evil people on the job, and so they're trying to manipulate you out of your livelihood to the degree right after you move into your apartment. Now the people at work are trying to get you fired. And for what? For doing your job? Because they are just evil. This black woman named Lopez, she just stays on me and my partner's case constantly. And the more we complain about it to the so-called chain of command, nothing happens. And so where's your protection? If you're dealing with a so-called co-worker that is corrupted, how are you going to protect yourself if the chain of command is corrupted as well? So here comes the stress element that you're trying to negate because you don't want to end up with high blood pressure. So it's always something going on. And so when it's like that, it's best for you to go in isolation and choose only those who are most close to you. You have to let a lot of people go or put a whole lot of relationships on suspension so that you can have that you time in order for you to heal effectively. And that's the only thing that's going to save you. You have to allow yourself to heal. You have to create an environment to where you actually can heal. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm in isolation right now. And I'm determined to stay in isolation because I'm coming to find out, and I'm coming to realize that for myself personally, living in isolation is best for me. And I don't have a problem with being alone. And I know the distinction of isolation and being alone are two different things. Isolation is when you cut off all relationships and you don't want to talk to nobody. And therefore you're shutting down all type of relationships. But at the same time, I don't mind being alone. And being alone it says being alone means all one. So it means that you're alone and you're content with being alone. But I am content with being alone because I'm not interested in having any more relationships. But I'm also in isolation because I just don't want to be bothered with people. I really don't want to be bothered with people. So just wanted to share some thoughts because I know that I'm not the only person that feels like this after dealing with a whole lot of people who are so-called human beings. And as much as I talk about staying human, I say that because of my own personal struggle of maintaining a human being in opposition of living in a very inhumane environment. So with that being said, I'm done. Get myself some rest. That previous video was from my personal collection of me just sharing my thoughts or talking out my thoughts. You know, a lot of people do that. You know, some people, I even have a journal that no one is ever going to see other than my sons when I pass on. But I just felt like that video should be shown because we as human beings, we all have days of when things hit us kind of heavy. And I said that my life is very transparent. And so I wanted to share that. And, you know, and things in life, you know, we live in a dual existence. You know, you have good days and you have bad days. You know, you have good nights and you have bad nights. And, you know, so it's just, like I say, it gets very exhausting when you're trying to make it in the world. And every time you turn around, people are putting you in the position to where you are dealing with a whole lot of setbacks, And like I said, I've been dealing with a whole lot of setbacks. If it wasn't from family, it was because of the women that I had gotten involved in. Because when I deal with women, it's 100% with me. It's 100%. And you know, a lot of brothers that I've known was always telling me that's probably what the problem is, Dave. And my response to them would say, well, that's one of the reasons why our women are so angry, because we as men have not given ourselves 100% to these women, and vice versa. You know, women haven't given themselves 100% towards us. And what that does, that creates monsters on both sides. So when you get involved with a woman and she comes from a very disruptive and dysfunctional family, there's a very good chance that your relationship with her is going to become disruptive, because she's bringing her effects from her upbringing, as well as you bringing your effects. And see, my upbringing wasn't perfect, but it wasn't bad either. I've seen a whole lot of things, and so I was different from everyone. And when my great grandmother passed away, as I said in one of my other videos, the family got scattered all over the place. And so when I met my son's mother, I met her in Sierra Nevada Job Corps. And so we met there. And after I left there, I went to California to help my mother resolve some issues out there with her property. And while I was out there, my son's mother came here to Las Vegas. And so after my mother was resolving her differences in terms of her property out there in San Rafael, California, at the same time, I was planning on moving back out here to I was planning on moving out here to Las Vegas, you know, to rejoin with my son's mother. So that eventually happened, and I came out here and I saw how very dysfunctional her family was. And I put her to the side and I told her, I said, look, we both come from dysfunctional families. And I had expressed to her that I would like to have a family. I would like to get married. And of course, that didn't work out. But every woman that I've ever dealt with, I always gave her 100%. And like I said before, a whole lot of brothers said, well, Dave, that's probably what the problem is. I just don't believe in playing with women. I don't think that women should be played with, despite how old they are. I don't feel as though women should be played with. Because when myself and their mother got together, I was, let me see, I was 21. Was I 20? I think I was 22. I think I was 22 years old when I got here to Las Vegas. And she was, let me see, I think she was 19 when we got together. And we expressed our love for one another, and we both talked about how we wanted a family structure. But you know, when people will tell you that for the sake of getting with you, you know, in order to satisfy their emotions with you, but I took it serious. Now, a lot of people may say, well, obviously, if you had 2 kids by her, she took it serious. Not necessarily. I mean, there are some women out here who will go to that level and still be messing around the same as she was, if not listening to her mother corrupt her and her sisters and everybody. And she didn't help by bad mouthing me every time I turned around. And it was just a big mess. It was just a big mess. But I recall her telling me one time that, you know, you're a little bit older than me, so I don't see why you are not aware of certain things. And what she never failed to realize is that the family that I came up in Chicago, and as I said before, I had to learn everything myself. You know, I used to, as a kid, I used to isolate myself a whole lot because it was always some turmoil going on in the house. And so I would have to say I got a late start in terms of my adulthood. And when you come from a family to where you are sheltered and you don't have a father around, and you really don't have a mother because she's all over the place, it gets to the point to where, despite your age, when you're going into a serious relationship, there's going to be just some things that you're not going to be familiar with, even though most people feel you should. So when we both got together, what she never realized from me, and I never told her because I felt embarrassed, but I had told, she never knew that when I set out to start my own life and her being with me, just as her, I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I was out. I was 22 years old. And so, like I said, I had a very late start in terms of relationships. My first serious relationship, I was 20 years old. You know, as I said in another one of my videos, when I was coming up in Chicago, I wasn't popular with the ladies. And so I didn't get myself involved, you know, I didn't have girlfriends. You know, I didn't have girlfriends. So when I got started, I believe my first relationship, as I said before, I was 20 years old. And I had a relationship with this woman named Marjorie Guine. She was Black and German mixed. And this is when I was going to Job Corps in Edinburgh, Indiana. And so she was basically my first love. And we're still in contact um, on Facebook. That's about it. But you know, when you're going into something like that without being properly informed on what to do, what not to do, you know, like looking at your tags on your car and your tags expire and you have someone say you need to get your car re-registered, and you standing up there like, what are you talking about? Because you haven't been informed of any of those things. All of those things are brand new to you. So you come into a life experience to where the only way that you're going to learn things is sometimes you have to hit a brick wall. Sometimes you have to be penalized in order for you to understand the most simple things. Now, when all of that goes down, sometimes you're looked upon by your woman as slow or stupid or anything like that. But what she failed to realize is that I was in the learning process as well. You know, I was in a learning process as well. And so it's quite a dilemma when you don't have people in your life who are supposed to be there to teach you things and show you how to do things. But when you grow up pretty much on your own, you find yourself having to make a whole lot of mistakes in order for you to learn the basic fundamentals of life. So that explains the real importance of having a father figure around, a man who comes around and he teaches you how to drive. He explains things to you like how to put license, you know, what you have to go through to get your driver's license, and he teaches you how to get your car registered, and he'll take you to the DMV even with himself in order for you to learn those things, you know. And by me always being a very curious child, what I missed out on was having a father who gave it that. And so he didn't, and so I had to go through life learning things on my own. And due to the fact that we both was in a learning process and a growing process, it was like two little children learning how to walk. And so when it's like that, a whole lot of things are going to start happening. A whole lot of bad things are going to start happening. You know, people are going to be in your woman's ear. You know, you're going to meet some of the family members. Some of the family members are going to be cutting their eyes at you, you know, looking at you like they want you. And therefore, they see how very intelligent you are, even though you're limited in certain areas of your life. That doesn't imply that you're a stupid human being. It only means that you're limited in certain areas of your life due to the fact that you didn't have anyone in your life to teach you these basic fundamentals of living. So when all of that starts, you bump into a whole lot of jealousy, because if it's one thing that you definitely know how to do is love someone. You definitely know how to do that. And then when they see that you're loving on that particular family member, and they have men in their lives that's treating them like dirt and being physically abusive and everything, sooner or later, you as a man and as a quote unquote good man or decent man, you're going to catch hell from that family, because now you have family members who are jealous of your girl. And then by you being limited in certain areas, and you're on the, as I say, the walk of learning all at the same time, there's going to be some times where your woman is not going to have a whole lot of confidence in you. And then things are going to start happening. And then the next thing you know, things are going to break up. You know, children are going to be born into a, you might as well say, a hostile situation. And by you as a man, speaking of myself, growing up in Chicago, of where the majority of the time, I would say 70% of the times that I experienced growing up in my great grandmother's house. 70% of the time, there was a whole lot of chaos and disorder going on in the house. I mean, it wasn't ghetto or, in anything like that. It was just a whole lot of tension in the home. I recall one time, my mother noticed that she came in my room and I was sitting on the side of my bed and I was crying. And she said, "What's the matter?" And I told my mother, "I don't know what's wrong." I said, "But something's wrong." And she said, "I think it's just so much tension in this home. And by you being intellectually sensitive, spiritually sensitive, you're carrying the burden of everyone in this house." However, all at the same time, she was one of the primary people that kept a whole lot of that tension and stuff going, which pretty much forced me to become an introvert. It tapped into my natural instinct of being an introvert. See, because the only way that you're gonna realize that you're an introvert is things have to transpire in your environment for you to respond and react in a certain way to where you go off to yourself. And when you're away from all of the chaos and the disorder and the high tensions, but when you're off to yourself, that's when peace abides in you and in your particular environment, even if it's away from everyone else. So back in those days, I didn't understand how all of that was affecting me because I had no idea that I was a quote unquote introvert. So I didn't know what was going on, but I had found out that I was much more at peace when I was alone. And it's amazing how you go through the life journey and you find out through numerous experiences, even by my going on 60, I consider myself 60 already because my conception was April the 20th, and 9 months later, my physical birth came January 20th. But you find yourself going into your adulthood, you're pretty much the same way. You're pretty much the same way. You love your own company. See, because during the times of coming up, you come up in Chicago and you see a whole lot of people throwing their lives away by way of a whole lot of areas. It's not always drugs and alcohol or gang violence or domestic violence. Another form of pretty much throwing your life away is getting involved too early in relationships, because I've seen a whole lot of young men who I went to school with and a lot of young women who I went to school with. They would get into these relationships. I'm talking from sixth grade going into high school. And then the next thing you know, this girl is pregnant, and these are just babies having babies, and then as time goes on, they can't deal with having these adult demand relationships because they were just babies. They started holding hands. You see them start holding hands in school, like 6th and 7th and 8th grade, going into high school. And that's just too early to involve yourself in relationships like that. And then you have parents who are not paying enough attention of their daughters and their sons at home. And so they start seeking refuge in other young people. And this is, you know what I'm saying? They start seeking refuge and comfort and acceptance in each other. And so with that, it's equivalent to what creates the street gangs, when they see each other as family members, as long as they're under the same title and under the same code. I mean, it's the same with religions, you know, it's the same with religions. But it's a very interesting walk, you know, because there are some times when you have bad days and there's some times when you have good days. And I wanted to share that video because, as I said before, I don't have anything to hide. And that reminded me actually of my favorite chapter that I already spoken of. And that is when Yeshua was suffering from the effects of fear in the Garden of Gethsemane. The same as a whole lot of us, we can go through a whole week and the whole week is profound. And then just one day you wake up and a whole lot of things that have affected you starts contaminating that day. And a whole lot of things that hurt you in the past, sometimes those things show up again and interfere with the peace of mind of your particular day. And so it brings you down. It brings you down. And then just like I was talking about having problems on my job and everything with people on my job and my disappointment in the Black community and how I've seen it deteriorate and decay, morally decay, to the point to where our community has become absolutely disgusting in our behavior and how perverse we have become and how violent we have become towards one another. And it's disgusting and heartbreaking and disappointing in the way that we treat one another. And it has to get better. And so what it is with our community, what I see going on today is equivalent to what I've just talked about. We get ourselves involved with relationships too early. We don't have parents who are responsible enough and pay us attention enough to know the importance of not getting in any physical or romantic relationships during the time you should only be focusing yourself on education, getting through grammar school, getting through high school, thinking about going to college and those type of things. You know, so and what that does when the children are neglected, they grow up making a whole lot of bad decisions. And so that is one of the primary things that have always set me behind is my wanting a family, because of me feeling as though the family that I come up in Chicago, like I said, it wasn't always chaotic, but a lot of things were missing. A lot of things were missing. It's like I had four uncles actually, that lived there in the house, but I didn't have a uncle and nephew relationship with them. You know, I had an older sister. She always felt like she couldn't stand, you know, she always treated me like she didn't like me. You know, I had aunts, you know, and actually I had an auntie relationship with my oldest aunt, and her name was Sheila. We used to call her Shishi. She passed on many years ago from a brain aneurysm. But she was a very sweet and caring woman. But you know, that's it's It's something else. When you take time to think about how very important those different relationships are with not only yourself, but a whole lot of uncles need to understand that your nephews are your first children, and so you should pass on what you know to your nephews as if they are your first children, you know? And so it's just a whole lot of things that need to function within a family environment. But I don't know, man. I'm pretty much all over the place right now because it's a whole lot going on, and it's a lot going on with me right now. And so just understand the very substance, the beautiful substance of relationships, and understand that getting too involved with relationships at an early age could be quite damaging. And like I said before, I don't blame my son's mother for everything, and it really doesn't matter, you know, because we both was into something that I'm not saying we should not have been in, because we loved each other tremendously, and we got two sons out of the experience. But like I said, my not having a father figure around to teach me things, I had to learn the fundamentals of living by way of making a whole lot of mistakes. And by her having a mother who was an alcoholic, and she had a father who was a heroin addict all of his life, she didn't really have a chance either. All she relied on was her beauty. And so, but what I've noticed is that she came up in an environment to where the women in the family felt like simply because they have sex with a particular man, that implies that they're in a relationship, but it's just a whole lot of things that we have to come to know about life. And you never stop learning in life. You never stop learning. And that's the beauty of the experience. And a lot of people may say, yeah, but what about the bad days? What's the beauty about the bad days? And I'm not going to be very basic about it and say that the beauty of the bad days is the fact that the bad days don't stick around permanently. The good days are going to come. But the beauty of it, of the bad days, is that learning the lessons, whether they seem harsh or anything like that, and sometimes they have to be harsh in order for you to actually get it objectively. And so sometimes you have to fall tremendously in order for you to learn something objectively. And due to the fact that you learned it objectively, you never have to worry about yourself making that same mistake again. And so I'm coming to understand a whole lot of things. And at this age, there's a few women that I date from time to time, but I'm pretty much exhausted of the whole relationship thing. And right now, all I want to do is just write. I just want to get back to writing in the way that I should, and get my work out so I can get some legitimate revenue so that I can get back to traveling, because there's a whole lot of people that I miss overseas. And I want to get my, like they call it today, I want to get my bag right so that I can start getting back on them planes, man. Because there's a lot of people over in India that I miss that I need to get back in touch with. There's people over in London, England. I have about 6 or 7 really good friends over there in London, England that I miss tremendously, and I want to get back over there and study some more. And I just want to see my friends again, man. And that's why this COVID thing really caused a whole lot of problems in abroad the world. It changed a whole lot of people's lives, but slowly but surely things are coming back together, even though it'll never be the same. Because I saw an interview today where the American dollar is going to be worthless over in Africa. And so the American dollar is not going to be worth anything. So basically, these surrounding countries and regions are putting people of America in a position to where they have no choice but to stay where they are, because your money is not going to be any good here. So that'll go on for a little while. But my whole question in that area is, once everything becomes digital, then what? I mean, I can see if paper money is not going to be accepted over there in Africa and other places, but how is digital currency going to prevent people from this country to travel while other places like Africa, Great Britain, Asia, other areas over there in the Middle East, everyone's going to be existing and functioning off the digital currency. So how they're going to do that? Prevent people from, well, you just never know. Maybe this is happening so that America can be pushed into the digital currency. Because what I've noticed, a whole lot of things over here in America seems to transfer in a very slow manner, while other countries are rapidly making a change. And me perceiving their changes as rapidly may not be rapid at all. I may be affected by the slowness of how things are changing over here, but the way things are functioning over there, they most likely won't see those transition periods as rapid, because they're at obviously a different pace over there overseas. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. But I know that I was all over the place with this, but like I say, we have good days and we have bad days. And maybe I said something in this video that could help someone, but with all of this being said, I gotta go because I have to make some runs. Everybody have a good evening. Stay human.